Here you have the brand new eyeshadow palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Let's see what's up with it. This is the Nouveau eyeshadow palette. It is $55 and it's made in USA. I really like the packaging. This baby definitely looks better in person. You're getting a nice fresh green color story. You get your everyday neutrals and some pretty pop of colors. If you're familiar with Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes, then you know that they used to be $45. Now they're $55. She went up in price by $10. And they also used to come with 14 shades and then the little brush. This one only have 12 shades and no brush. So the pens, they're a little bigger. I'm just not sure how I feel about her going up in price. This is the shade Wink. It is a metallic silver green with sparkling reflex. And this one is Io. It is a metallic blonde gold. This one is a metallic antique bronze. Wow, look how nice that looks. Then this one is a matte pastel lavender with sparkling reflex. Lily, it's a metallic rose gold with multi-dimensional reflex. Hope, it's a metallic olive green with gold reflex. Paloma, it's a matte creamy ivory with sparkling reflex. Flare, it's a matte golden peach. Livery, it is a matte muted hunter green. Peacock is a duochrome bluish green brown with pink reflex. This one is beautiful. Metro, it's a matte rich clay. And Muse is a metallic dark chocolate brown. I love every single shade in this palette. I always have the same issue with Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. Like, they're so messy and that drives me crazy. Like, you can barely swatch them because they're just too powdery. I'm obsessed with this color combination so much. Like, all these colors, they look so pretty together. And you know, even though the formulation is a little bit powdery, the mattes are very pigmented. You really don't have to build them up like that. And if you wet your brush, the shimmers, the same way they look here, they're gonna look on your eyes. This purple shade right here reminds me of the purple that I have in this Vizier palette. What do you think? Let's swatch them. Then they're gonna be like right there, to be honest with you. And the one from Vizier, it's not as powdery. Like, oh, this one is the one from Vizier, and this one is the one from Anastasia Beverly Hills. The one from Anastasia Beverly Hills, it's a bit lighter, but by a hair. It also reminded me of this purple that we have in the Tiny Marbles palette, and this formulation, it's a lot creamier. One from Tiny Marbles is a little bit darker, but on the eyes, once you blend them, you're not gonna know which one is which one. And then this shade right here, it also reminded me of this one that we also have in the Tiny Marble palette. What? I think they're the same exact shades, but I also think that I have that similar shade in this little baby from Charlotte Tilbury. This one right here. No, the one from Charlotte Tilbury, it's a lot more burgundy, but this too, no way. This one is the one from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This one is the one from Tiny Marbles. Look at that. Yo, they're the same exact shades. So if you only want this palette because of this shade and this one, if you have the Tiny Marbles, you don't need this. And I like the formulation of this palette a lot more. Now when it comes to the greens, you guys know that I love the greens in the Artist Couture palette. This one is a Supreme. I'm going to be swatching this one and this one, that they look a lot similar to the greens that we get in this one. So this is from Artist Couture, and then this one, it's also from Artist Couture. And this green, it's one of the greens that we get in the new Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. I mean, they're similar, but the ones that we get in the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, they're a little bit more golden. But again, they're too close to look different on the eyes. I'm gonna be bringing you all up in my grill, and let me show you really quick how I created this look. I go back with my powder brush and just smooth out my lid, making sure that I don't have no creases. and nothing like that. I did prep it with the same concealer that I have on my under eyes, which is a new one from Huda Beauty, and I set it with a little bit of the under eye powder from Pomegranate. We're gonna start with a fluffy blending brush. This one is the one from Rose & Ben's Beauty, the E29, and I'm gonna be picking up a little bit of the shade Paloma, which is the lightest shade. And this one is going to be more like a base. I'm going to apply it all over the eyelid. I picked up a little bit more and I'm only going to apply right here in the inner part of my eye. And also a little bit more for my brow bone. This is going to bring light to the eye. We're going to need something a little bit more precise. I'm going to be moving on with the E28 from Rose & Ben's Beauty. You see how this brush is pinchy right here? And then it flops up, but it's still skinny on top. It's just a lot more precise than a regular blending brush. I need you to get something like this if you don't have it. If you don't have this one, I also like the 206 from BK Beauty. If not, then this one from Morphe and Makeup by Ariel, the 829, it's also good. These three brushes, they're basically the same shape. Now with the side of the brush, I'm going to be picking up this light purple shade, and don't pick it up all crazy. You don't have to do that. Just lay your brush down and slowly pick the shadow up, and don't tap your brush. Just do this one time. That's it. I'm only going to be packing this shade right here in the inner part of my eye, and I'm going to stop right in the center of my lid. Even though this shade, it's a little bit powdery, I love how pigmented it is. I wasn't expecting it to be this bright. I'm wiping up the brush, and then now with the same brush, I'm going to be picking up the shade Metro. Shade right here, it's a little bit more powdery than this one. I'm going to place my brush right here on my outer V, and I'm going to start packing it in the outer part of my lid. Basically the same thing that I did in the inner part of my eye with the purple, I'm doing in the outer part of my eye with this shade. I'm just doing the little tapping technique right here in place, back and forth until everything is nice and diffused. And I'm bringing the shade a little bit above my crease. So far the mattes have nice color payoff. The reason why I don't like to do blending, and I'm always recommending you guys to do this little tapping technique, is because I don't like to disturb my shadows at all. I like to work the shadow in. I like to melt it in the eye, and doing the little tapping technique, even if it takes longer than blending, because it does, I know that. Trust me when I tell you that everything is going to look a lot better at the end. So far, I only dipped one time into this shade right here, and it gave me all this. That's impressive. Cleaned up my brush again, and then now I'm going to pick up a little bit more of this light purple. I'm going to go over the purple one more time. A little bit right here on the center. Still working with the same brush, and now we're going to pick up a little bit of this shade, and I'm going to apply this shade right on top of the Metro, but below the crease, right here. Just make sure you keep it right here below the crease, because you do want the little orangey shade to show up on top of it. And we're doing the same thing, the little tapping motion back and forth, right in place. You have to make sure you clean your brush in between so you don't end up mixing the colors. And now I'm going to pick up a little bit more of the shade Metro, and I'm going to use it to blend the edges of the shade that we just applied. Now with my big fluffy blending brush, I'm going to be picking up a little bit of the lightest shade, and I'm blending right here by my brow bone, making sure I don't have no harsh lines. With a smaller blending brush, this one is the Mini Booster from Sonia G. I'm going to be picking up a little bit of this shade, and I'm going to mix it with this one. And I'm going to apply right here on my outer V to give this eye look some depth. With the same brush, I'm going to pick up a little bit of this one. And again, I'm applying it only on my outer V. This shade, it's nice and dark. Flat Defender from Sonia G, we're going to be picking up this shade, and I'm going to apply it in the inner part of my lower lash. With the same brush, I'm going to be picking up Metro, and I'm going to apply it right on the center of my lower lash, and I'm going to go on top of the purple just a little bit. I'm picking up a little tiny bit more of the purple, and I'm going to reapply it in the inner part of my lower lash. I'm using the E27 from Rose & Ben's Beauty. I am going to wet this brush just a little bit, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of this shade right here. And I'm only going to apply this shade right here on the outer part of my lower lash. Yep, that's exactly what I wanted. Now I'm gonna be picking up this little Morphe M431 brush, a little bit more of this purple shade for my tear duct. Now the exciting part, the shimmer. I'm gonna be picking up my worker pearl from Sonia G. Any packing brush will do the job. And we're gonna start with the shade Lily. First, I'm gonna show you how they look dry, and then of course, we're gonna wet them. And we're gonna be applying the shade right on top of the purple in the inner part of my eye. That's how it looks dry. This is how it looks wet. A lot better. Now with the other side of the same brush, I'm gonna be picking up this shade right here for the center of my lid. That's how it looks dry, and this is how it looks wet. It does get a little bit more extra if you wet your brush. Oof, that looks so stunning. And then now with the same brush, I'm gonna be picking up a little bit of the shade Hope. And we're gonna apply right here between the shade that I have in the center of my lid and the one that I have in the outer V. I'm just making a transition between these two shades. I did have a little bit of fallout. I had to fix my concealer, so I do recommend you that if you're gonna be using this palette, do your eyes first and then your complexion. Now we need blush, and I want to use this shade right here as blush. Why not? I want to see how it looks. I'm gonna be picking it up with my Hermes brush. I mean, I do see it on the face, but very little. It's giving me like a little hint. I don't really like it as blush. Now for blush, I'm using this palette from Jaclyn Hill's, and I went in with this shade right here. In love with this eye look. I love the combination of all these shades together. I like it, but I don't think it's a must-have. I feel that if you already own a lot of eyeshadow palettes, you already have most of these colors in your collection. To be honest with you, even though I do feel that this formulation is a little bit better than the last palette she came out with, it's still powdery. We're gonna have fallout. Like, you really have to know how to pick up the shadow, because if not, it's going to become un arroz con mango. Like, I already have shimmer all over my mats. Like, no. Again, I'm not telling you I don't like it. I do like it. It's super pretty. It's just not something that I'm recommending you, like, hey, you need it in your life right now. Run, go get it. No. If you want it, fine. If you want to have this color story together, get it. But you just have to know how to work with the formulation. Be a little patient. Besides that, she killed it with the color story. I'm so happy to have all these colors together. I know I have the purple and this shade in the other palettes, but I would have not created this look picking up different palettes. That's for sure. You already got it, or you're not gonna get it at all. Talk to me in the comment section down below, because if you don't talk to me, I'm just a weird freaking person talking to myself in a room that I love you to the moon and back. Mwah! See you on the next one.